becomes SVG-TV's news for Thursday, April 10th, 2025. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. As part of observances for Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month 2025, the Child Development Division of the Ministry of National Mobilization hosted a symposium today at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs conference room. The event was held under this year's theme, Children Are Our Priority. Protect them so their future can become a reality. The symposium brought together educators, policymakers, child advocates, and members of the public sector to raise awareness about child abuse and neglect and to renew a national commitment to child protection. Delivering the welcoming remarks, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Mobilization, Marissa Finch-Burke, emphasized that child abuse remains a harsh and troubling reality, one that is often inflicted by individuals who should be the primary protectors of children.
And one more being abused is too much. And we all have to come to the place where enough is enough. And our children need to be children. They need to enjoy their childhood. And a child under the law is any human being in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that is below the age of 18. So we are talking about 0 to 17 years old. And the ministry seeks to provide a myriad of services or a group of services where we will work together with the rest of the stakeholders, whether it be police, health, education, etc., and childcare institutions, because there are non-governmental organizations that help the state in protecting and housing children. So we also want to be able to say thank you to them. So today, let it not be all about what we are all presenting, but we need to recall all those who were hurt or abused because, and that is why we had to be here in this way. Otherwise, there was no need to start advocating for this to stop. We need to spread more of the message. And it's not about a day or a month. It is every day of every year, 365 days a year. We need for this to stop. Children, even in your own spaces, when you see or when you experience good touch, bad touch, you have to be able to say no. You cannot accept this, because for everyone that accepts this, it is another child being abused.
One of the keynote speakers at today's symposium, Adrian Messiah, president of the National Association of Early Childhood Educators, spoke passionately about neglect, describing it as a form of abuse that is often invisible but deeply damaging.
One may ask, what is neglect? It is the failure to provide for a child's basic needs. Think of it. Food, shelter, clothing, medical care, and education. But it is more than just the physical. It is also the absence of emotional support, of love, of attention, and of nurturing. It is the failure to protect a child from harm, whether it is physical danger, exposure to violence, or simply the instability of a chaotic and unpredictable home life. Imagine a child consistently going to school hungry, their stomachs rumbling so loudly they can barely concentrate. Imagine a child wearing clothes that are too small or ripped or stained, making them a target for ridicule. Now imagine a child who never hears words of encouragement, who never receives a hug, who never feels like they matter. Imagine a child whose parents are so consumed by their own problems, such as addiction, mental illness, and poverty, that they simply cannot meet their child's emotional needs. These are the faces of neglect. These are our children, and their silence is deafening. Now, why is this so devastating? Because neglect in all of its insidious forms has long-lasting and profound consequences. Firstly, the physical impact. Malnutrition, inadequate health care, and lack of proper hygiene can lead to serious health problems, stunted growth, and weakened immune systems. These children often suffer from illnesses that could have been easily prevented, hindering their physical development and overall well-being.
He stressed the emotional toll of chronic neglect, highlighting that it can leave lasting psychological scars that may affect children well into adulthood.
These children often struggle with low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and difficulty forming healthy attachments. They may exhibit behavioral problems, struggle in school, and have difficulty navigating social interactions. The constant lack of affirmation and love can lead to a profound sense of abandonment and hopelessness. Also, neglect can severely hinder a child's cognitive development. Lack of educational opportunities, limited stimulations, and the constant stress of living in a neglectful environment can impact brain development, leading to learning difficulties, low academic achievement, and limited opportunities later in life. Neglect does not discriminate. It affects children from all walks of life, regardless of race, ethnicity, or socio-economic status. It can happen in affluent communities such as easily as in impoverished ones. The common thread is the failure of adults to prioritize the needs of a child. So what can we do? How can we turn this tide of neglect and ensure that all children have the opportunity to thrive? First, we need to raise awareness. We need to talk about neglect, to shine a light on this often hidden problem. We need to educate ourselves and others about the signs of neglect and the resources available to help. Secondly, we need to support families. Many parents who neglect their children are struggling themselves. They may be facing poverty, addiction, mental health issues, or domestic violence. We need to provide them with the support they need to overcome these challenges and become better parents. Thirdly, we need to protect our children. If you suspect that a child is being neglected, it is your responsibility to report it. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Your intervention could save a child's life. Remember, the child's safety is paramount.
Masai issued a call to action urging adults, educators, and caregivers to be vigilant and proactive to become the voice of the children, ensuring they feel safe, loved, and valued.
A society where every child has the opportunity to reach their full potential. A society where the phrase, "Children are our priority," is not just a slogan, but a reality. These children are not just someone else's responsibility. They are our collective responsibility. They are the future doctors, teachers, artists, and leaders of our world. They deserve a chance. They deserve our protection. They deserve our love. I say to parents, put aside the device, the phones, the tablets for a little while and pay attention to your children. Let us be these children's voice. Let us all commit today in making a difference in the lives of neglected children. Let us be their advocate. Let us be their champion. Let us work together to create a world where every child can flourish. Because when we protect our children, we are investing in our future. When we nurture their potential, we're building a better world for all of us. Let us make that future a reality.
Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month is observed annually to shine a light on the many forms of abuse affecting children and to encourage communities to work together in protecting the nation's youngest citizens. Eustace Memorial Secondary School and one of two students who made presentations at today's Child Abuse Awareness Symposium delivered a passionate address declaring that he stands as a proud voice of children across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He welcomed the opportunity to speak at the forum, noting that too often decisions that affect the lives of children are made without their input.
This is Child's Month, a time when the entire country is reminded that children are important, that we deserve to be protected, and that the choices made today will shape the kind of future we inherit. We thank the organizers of this event for giving us a chance to share our thoughts and concerns. Because if we are not protected, our dreams, our ambitions, and even our very lives can be taken away from us. The circumstances of many children in St. Vincent and the Grenadines do not always reflect a society in which our protection is the priority. Childhood should be about playing, learning, and growing up in a safe environment. But for some children, this is not the reality. Some of us wake up every day in homes where we do not feel safe. Some of us go to school afraid, not just of exams, but of bullying. Some of us go to bed at night hungry because there's not enough food. And some of us have even experienced the trauma of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Reports of children being neglected and mistreated are far too common. We have also seen cases of violence involving young people where lives have been lost too soon. These are not just headlines in the news. These are real lives. Our lives.
Both acknowledged that in recent years, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has taken significant steps to address issues affecting children. Among these are the enactment of the Child Justice Act and the Domestic Violence Act, which he said demonstrates a genuine commitment to creating a safer environment for children and families. He also commended the ongoing work of the Ministry of National Mobilization and the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force in child protection efforts. However, he emphasized that while these initiatives are commendable, there is still much more room for improvement.
Protecting children means making sure we are safe, that we have opportunities to learn, and that we are treated with love and respect. We do not just want adults to listen to our problems. We need action. Firstly, our society needs to eliminate violence against children. According to UNICEF, every 5 minutes, a child somewhere in the world dies as a result of violence. That is 12 children every hour. This should never be acceptable. Here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have our own stories of children experiencing violence at the hands of other children, or even worse, from the adults who are entrusted with their care. We need better protection for our children who experience abuse. Too many of us are afraid to speak up. We fear that nothing will be done or no one will be listened to us. How many stories have we heard of victims receiving blame and shame instead of receiving help? We need stronger enforcement of child protection laws, and we need safe spaces where we can go when we are in danger. It is not just about stopping physical violence. Some of us face harsh words, insults, and constant criticism at home and at school. We experience cyberbullying on social media. Words hurt just as much as physical abuse, and they can change and damage our future. Secondly, education is a ticket to a better future. But what happens when that ticket is taken away? In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, many children struggle to stay in school. Some of us do not have basic supplies we need. Some of us miss school to take care of younger siblings, or because we cannot afford transportation. If we say that children are the future, then we must invest in that future.
Children who experience abuse have rights and must be educated on how to exercise those rights. This was a message from Constable Senior Butler of the Sexual Offences Unit within the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force during her appearance on Cop Chat program aired on WFM. The program focused on the topic, the impact of child abuse on our communities. Constable Butler stressed the importance of education and empowerment for children who may be at risk or already experiencing abuse, pointing out that persons should not be afraid to come forward, as silence allows the abuse to continue.
So, children, you can build a relationship with your teachers. Sometimes a child may not open up to their mother or their father at home, but they have their favorite kindergarten teacher who they love. So children, you should not be afraid to speak to the person that you can trust. And that person who you can trust will also help you to control your feelings or your emotions, whatever situation. They may seek help for you in whatever way they can. So find that person you trust, that person you love, and that person you think can stand up for you, and build that confidence in them.
Also contributing to the discussion was Corporal Alina Stapleton, who highlighted the misconception and stigma that often surrounds the issue of child abuse.
Because I know the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines move to offer more protections for females than they do boys, right? I know the age of consent for one of them, for me, is specifically geared towards females. The laws, if you have sex with a female a girl, it states a girl under the age of 15, right? But above the age of 13, is that I'm right? And a girl under the age of 13. It doesn't have the boy element in there. So what I'm saying, if a 20-something-year-old woman has sex with a 14-year-old boy and it's consensual, what can you do?
Corporal Stapleton further noted that financial hardship should never be used as justification for abuse.
Financial strain is something that is plaguing a lot of families, but it's still child abuse if you leave your child unattended. You neglect your child to go and earn something. It's still that. My advice would be to seek assistance. You might not get it from your friend. Seek assistance as much as you can. Go to the government. They have outlets for these things. Leaving your child at home and say, well, I have no other choice. You understand? I rather you take your child to your job with you than to leave them at home. And in many cases, we have seen that happen, and all to find out later that the house may have burned down, or something bad may have happened. Somebody may have exploited your child. Somebody, you might, I have seen situations where persons leave a friend or somebody in the neighborhood with their child, and that person end up molesting the child. So I rather you seek assistance, and if you don't find assistance, and you have to, put yourself into it. But neglect is neglect, child abuse is child abuse. Whether you do it in an event to go and earn money or whatever it is still abuse.
Both officers urged community members to be vigilant, speak up, and support efforts to protect children from all forms of abuse. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is alerting the general public about reports of a male predator allegedly operating in Mesopotamia, Mariaqua Valley area. The SVG Police Force says the suspect is reportedly using social media platforms to lure young girls by offering money, shoes, and clothing under the false pretense of being connected to a boutique in Kingstown, with which she has no known affiliation. The SVG Police Force says it is actively investigating multiple reports related to this matter and is urging anyone who has been approached or may have relevant information that can assist with these investigations to immediately contact the nearest police station, the Criminal Investigations Department, the CID, at 457-1211, extension 4836, or 4837, or 4838, or 4839, or call 911. The SVG Police Force says all information provided will be treated with the strictest of confidentiality. Prime Minister Gonsalves calls on SELAC members to reaffirm founding principles amid global challenges. This and other stories coming up when I return with more local news. Stay with us. Welcome back. Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves has called on member states of the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, CELAC, to reaffirm their commitment to the founding principles of the organization. Principles, he says, are needed now more than ever to navigate the complex and evolving global landscape. Speaking at the 9th CELAC Summit held on Wednesday in Honduras, Prime Minister Gonsalves addressed the leaders and dignitaries, stressing that the region is at a crucial point in the global political economy. He emphasized the need for institutional advancements to make CELAC more effective and relevant amid today's international challenges.
Mothers and fathers of CELAC acknowledged, among other things, that there must be a complementarity between ourselves. And that secondly, we will seek to build an integration mechanism which was not mechanistic, that it was organic. That is to say that the whole of SELAC would be more than a summation of the individual parts. And for that attainment of an organic union, that each of the countries, despite our differences ideologically, politically, different sizes, different composition of populations, that we will always strive to have a consensus, because we had concluded that because of our shared experience, it was important that we acted together in unity and solidarity for certain common purposes. Among other things, it was accepted that everyone from every country of whatever political stripe, that we were all patriots, and we love our countries, we love our Caribbean, we love our Latin America, and we wanted to see a joinder of both those civilizations in a manner which would uplift the lives, the living, and the production of our peoples.
Dr. Gonzalez underscored that despite individuals' national differences, SELAC members must continue to stand united for common goals and not allow external forces to sow division.
We were clear that we eschewed any bullying from the north, the south, the east, or the west. These were fundamental precepts which brought us together. We know that there are certain matters which predisposed us towards joinder, and certain immediate matters which induced us. So we were not starry-eyed. We were not just looking at the shared experiences, which were important, but we had to have a shared expression institutionally to address extant challenges for common purposes. I think these fundamental precepts and ideas are important for us to recall, because in the current situation, if we do not remind ourselves of them, there's a danger that we would allow external forces to divide us when this ought not to take place.
Reaffirming St. Vincent and the Grenadines' diplomatic philosophy, the Prime Minister reminded the gathering that his country, though small, remains a friend to all nations and continues to advocate for a better world through multilateralism.
Our nation is founded, as is stated in the opening lines of our Constitution. Our nation is founded on the belief in the supremacy of God and the freedom and dignity of man and woman. And given our own historical experiences of colonialism, of native genocide, of the enslavement of African bodies, of indentureship by persons from Madeira and from India, and we have fashioned ourselves into a more or less homogeneous society, a creolized society with a thriving democracy of the highest quality, that we are determined individually and through SELAC that we will never allow our freedom and dignity to be compromised, to be subverted, and we will not submit to anyone or any country, however powerful, which directly or indirectly, intentionally or otherwise, to subvert the essence of our well-being and our nationhood.
The summit's agenda includes critical regional issues such as integration, peacekeeping, and migration. Leaders are also expected to adopt a declaration to guide future political and integration efforts within Latin America and the Caribbean. Today, the pro tempore presidency of CELAC was officially handed over to Colombia President Gustavo Petro. As part of the visit to Honduras, Prime Minister Gonçalves and his delegation, which includes Dr. Grace Walters and local Garifuna representative Zani Nero, were expected to pay a special visit to the Garifuna community today. The Vincentian delegation also includes Minister of Foreign Affairs Honorable Frederick Stevenson and SVG's Ambassador to Cuba, His Excellency Ellsworth John. With growing uncertainty on the international stage that could have implications for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Government Minister Orlando Brewster has stressed the importance of firm and decisive leadership during these times. Speaking on the ULP Speaks program last evening, Minister Brewster addressed recent global developments, including tariffs imposed by the United States and other shifting international policies, which he noted could indirectly affect the Vincentian economy.
We have to make sure that we continue on a path where we have steady leadership here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and especially during this period where we are seeing a lot of uncertainties from the international countries as it relates to their trade wars with tariffs and so on at this time. And we are seeing, I was looking today at the stock market, and the stock market is a reflection of what Donald Trump says. So if Trump gets up this evening and he says, clapping 50% tariff on China, the stock market tanks. And then he would wake up 2 hours later and say, well, you know what, I'm pausing it for 10 days, then the stock again, right?
Despite these challenges, Minister Brewster maintained an optimistic outlook, stating that opportunities often arise in the face of adversity. He pointed out that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will soon begin exporting produce to additional neighboring islands, expanding its reach in the regional agricultural markets.
So this is a time where we are seeing on the international stage a lot of uncertainties regarding food security, because when naturally there are tariffs on goods, you know, it would affect our supply chain. And once the supply chain is affected, you know, it is going to become difficult. But as I don't know how many of you have been following our Minister of Agriculture just today, you know, as I usually say, out of some of these challenges, there arise opportunities. And he saw an opportunity, and now we are going to be exporting some of our produce to other countries. Barbados being, there's a market there, Trimart, which is a familiar name in Barbados.
Minister Brewster emphasized the government's commitment to protecting the interests of Vincentians and ensuring the country remains resilient and adaptive in the face of global economic shifts. Opposition Senator Israel Bruce, who will be contesting the South Central Windward seat in the upcoming general elections on behalf of the New Democratic Party, the NDP, outlined his plans to address key issues affecting the constituency during a meeting held last evening. Among the major concerns highlighted was the persistent problem of livestock and crop theft affecting local farmers. Senator Bruce, who is also a lawyer, proposed reviewing and amending existing legislation to introduce stricter penalties for agricultural theft.
I also know, farmers of diamonds, that you plant, but you are catching your linen to find good markets for the things that you plant. And so I have said to my colleagues, on day number 2, because day 1 might be for the celebrations, we don't plan to celebrate for long, we plan to work. So I get to work on day number 2, and the people in the Ministry of Trade, that department, will be called to duty. And we will immediately explore markets in the region and outside of the region. Now, I taught this all the time. You know I travel to and from Tortola, British Virgin Islands. And when I go to Rightway Supermarket, When I go to one man supermarket and the others, I see all kind of agricultural produce on the shelves. Hardly any from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We are 2 hours away.
He also pledged to improve market access and infrastructure to help farmers and vendors sell their produce more effectively.
In the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I will pilot a bill that will make the penalties harsher for those people who are stealing your crops and your animals. I will ensure that we review the Farmers ID program so that persons who are not farmers but have Farmers ID and they are using the Farmers ID to sell on stolen goods, I am going to attack that. I'm going to cut it out and I'm going to give farmers a true chance. Farmers have said, Bruce, even when the police come, it is taking us too long to have a resolution of our problems. We don't get our justice fast enough. And we have to go and find money to replant. But hear what? News is coming. Bruce is coming to the rescue. Because we were put in place an evening to a night court where they will sit to take on matters of perennial larceny. So the thieves will come to justice swiftly.
Addressing the issue of youth unemployment, Senator Bruce expressed concern over the number of young people in the constituency who are currently out of work.
And I see the number of young men and women, more men than women, on the several blocks in Diamonds. It's not because Diamonds people are lazy. I know Diamonds people are not lazy people. The young men in Diamonds are willing to work. And we in the New Democratic Party are prepared to seek out quality jobs. My friends, crime breeds crime. And if you have too much young men on our blocks with nothing to do, we have a problem. Diamonds, hear what? The first priority of a New Democratic Party will be the creation of jobs for young men in Diamonds and South Central Windward and St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Bruce said the NDP's broader development plan would be inclusive and focused on restoring economic activity and hope to communities across the constituency.